When you think about the Honda Jazz, you don't necessarily think about sportiness. However, the Jazz Sport has been around for pretty much as long as the Jazz, always kind of having a sportier body kit on a standard Jazz vehicle. And that's the same principle with this, the facelifted Honda Jazz Advanced Sport. It's based on the advanced spec, so a very high spec Jazz, but has those sportier features. The pre-facelift didn't have a sport option, but now here it is. It sits at the top of the range just above the Crossstar. I've already reviewed the Jazz Crossstar, it's gone down very well. If you do want to check out that video where I explain the full range, do click up there and watch my full review on the Honda Jazz Crossstar. Today though, I'm focusing solely on the Jazz Advanced Sport. I will of course reference normal Jazzes and a few bits of equipment that the other models get, but this is about the Sport model. I thought it deserved its own video, and so did Honda UK, so a huge shout out to them for lending me their Jazz Advanced Sport for the week so I can give it a thorough review. To the front of the Jazz Sport, you've got the new lattice grille, which is across the range, which is really nice. It looks much better than the pre-facelift, which had a bit more of a bulbous look as this section came down a bit more, so that's much better. You also have the new sportier lower bumper, but this is in gloss black, whereas on the other models, like the standard Jazzes, that's in a matte plastic, so it looks much sportier and better in this gloss. It looks really great. It's held up very well, this one as well, over a year. I know it's not an old vehicle, but doesn't seem to have any stone chips or anything like that on it. So that's a really good sign for longevity as well. These headlights were slightly changed for the facelift, so they've got darkened internals for a sportier look across the range, that is, not just on the Sport model. So they've got a smokier effect eye, which is nice, and they've got those big bulbous chunky lights that we expect from the Jazz, so they look really nice. Much more sophisticated lighting technology than what we've seen in the past from Jazzes. It's got the auto high beam, so it'll just dip for you by itself. This is the sloping bonnet, so inside you can't actually see the bonnet because it just slopes straight down. Some people don't like that, but most people get on with it quite well. The 16-inch diamond cut alloys are standard on the Advanced Sport Jazz. They look great. You can opt for different wheels as an accessory, but they're quite expensive and they don't look as good, so not worth going for. These are definitely the best to go for, free of charge, 16 inches, so you still get plenty of ride comfort and plenty of grip. They're Yokohama tyres as standard. The side of the vehicle, the classic boxy Jazz shape continues as we've seen before. However, you get rear tinted windows and then the gloss black mirror caps. I'm glad they didn't put the handles in gloss black like you see on the Crossstar model. They look a lot better in body colour. This one, by the way, is in the urban grey pearl. I'll talk about colours available now. And colours on the Jazz Advanced Sport, well, there's 4 different colours to choose from. As standard, it comes in the crystal black pearl, which is a lovely colour. It really looks great blending in with the front bumpers and everything like that for that stealthier look. And it's not very common for a manufacturer to offer black as a free option, so that's nice. However, it can show scratches quite easily, so definitely recommend, if you do go for that colour, to get it ceramic coated or something like that. But I do really like the black, so it's a great standard colour choice, definitely, and will be easy when you do come on to selling it. Then you have 2 premium colour options. So you've got this is the urban grey pearl. This is £675, so it's good value for money. It's exclusive to the Sport model, so if you've got a grey Jazz, you know it's the sporty one, and it does have a nice look. Grey is very popular at the moment. It's not my favourite, but it does look nice on this Jazz for sure. Another premium option is platinum white for £675. I've not seen hardly any Advanced Sport Jazzes in the white, so maybe a good one to go for as it's quite rare. It'll also hide scratches better than a black paint will, so I like that quite a lot. And last but not least, you've got the Premium Plus paintwork, which is your premium crystal red for the ultimate sportiness on the Advanced Sport. However, it has now gone up to £1,000, so that's quite a lot extra just for your paintwork on the car. However, if you are in love with the red, then I'd just go for it if you're spending this money on a vehicle anyway. What's quite nice about Honda though is that everything's included on each trim. You can opt for things like the accessory alloy wheels. You don't need any of that really. It comes with all the equipment like your heated seats and heated steering wheel, which on other manufacturers would be classed as a winter pack. So 4 different colours available on the vehicle. Whilst we're on the topic of the exterior, something that would have been really nice would be a blue colour. Even the new seabed blue that we see on the HR-V would look great on the Jazz Sport. Sport, don't you think? If you want to watch my full video on the HR-V facelift, you can click up there. To the rear of the Jazz, you've got the LED tail lamps in that dark cherry red, which is really nice. I'm glad they've not gone with the clear tail light trend with the Jazz, because I think it would look odd. They kind of flare out, they're quite a cool look, just to make the vehicle look wider, because it's quite narrow, which is great for getting in tight spaces and garages. You've got the gloss black bumper as well on the Sport, that is a matte on the other models, and the visible tailpipe, which is a really nice addition. So definitely adds a bit of sportiness. You can hear it cut out there because it's gone in electric mode. It reminds me of the Up GTI, that just a little singular outlet, sporty exhaust, and it sounds pretty good too. One thing that I do really love about the Jazz is that you just get in it and it just feels like everything is where it needs to be. The screen is facing a bit away, which is a bit annoying, but you do get used to that. It's not as bad as some other vehicles. And yeah, it just feels like a car you can just jump in and just go. Like, it's just so well laid out, ergonomic, small enough, nippy enough. It's just one of the most straightforward cars you can choose. It feels very similar to any other Jazz hybrid, basically. It's a tiny bit lower down than what you get on the Crossstar model, so that's a little bit different in that sense, but generally it's pretty similar. So you've got the 1.5 litre self-charging hybrid engine, got 253 newton meters of torque and 122 PS, 120 brake horsepower, which is plenty enough. 9.5 seconds 0 to 62 is pretty impressive as well, and it can get excellent miles per gallon, especially around town. It does feel nippier though than the figures suggest. Very torquey, very ready to go, and a combined miles per gallon of over 60. That's realistically achievable if you do a mixture of town, city, motorway driving. If you do mostly motorway, you'll be looking around mid-50s, and then if you do mostly town, you can even be looking at mid-70s. They've done a great job, and that extra power just means it smoothens out a bit quicker, up from 107 brake horsepower on the pre-facelift. So you do have less of that noise than what you used to have on the pre-facelift. As it's a self-charging hybrid, you never plug in the Jazz, you just put fuel in and drive as you go, and that's it. It's automatic as well, so no need to change gears. You've got the electronic handbrake as well, so there's plenty of nice features on the vehicle. You do have to turn the brake hold feature on each time though you start the car, which is a little bit annoying. The regen braking is really quite strong on the car, which is nice. You can also control it with the paddles on the Jazz Advance Sport, so that's a great addition on the Sport. So I'm coming down a hill now, I can press the paddle a few times to make the regen stronger. Then if it levels out or it's too slow, I can come off the regen and let the car freewheel a bit. You can see the more arrows, the stronger the regen effect is. So you press this -1 to plus the arrows, you press the plus to take off. So it's a bit counterintuitive, but it's kind of like in a normal automatic that had paddle gears. This is to go slower, this is to speed up again. You don't have to use those paddles, you can just use your foot brake should you wish. You've also got the dedicated B mode as well, and then paddles to further assist you with the regen braking. So very smooth to drive. That 253 newton meters of torque is really evident as well. It means it's quite nippy and fun to drive in a way. They also all come with very good tyres on as standard. The Yokohama tyres, which generally are quite grippy, so you don't get a lot of wheel spin either like you do on the MG3 for example, which is quite a lot more powerful and does have more budget tyres on it, so you get quite a bit of wheel spin in that car. However, it is a lot cheaper than the Jazz. It's nice and narrow as well, which really helps in town situations on tight roads. It's really quite easy to drive. That's quite refreshing because we're getting quite a lot of wider and wider cars. So this is really quite an easy manoeuvrable vehicle. These A-pillars are nice and thin as well, so that you get a great view out of the vehicle, which is excellent. Obviously in the Crossstar, being that bit higher up, you get a bit better view in a way, but really you're not feeling very low down or vulnerable in this Sport model. Pretty smooth, unless you put your foot down and you can hear the engine spark up, but you hear how fast it kind of stepped up its range there. There it doesn't really hang on to revs most of the time, just depending how you are driving the vehicle, so that's really good. And you kind of just learn how to live with it and how to drive it, so it makes the least noise and it's the most smooth vehicle to drive. These 16-inch wheels as well mean that the ride isn't too firm at all, even on bumpy roads like this. It's really quite good. So it may have Sport in the name, but the suspension's not super firm or anything like that. We'll try it over the cattle grid now, see how it is. Pretty smooth. And this is a great road to test it on, good straight road. It does get up to speed if you wanted to. You can have quite a bit of fun with the Jazz. Whee! Yeah, it's plenty fast enough. I quite like it. And like I say, it's so easy to drive. There's a bit of a stereotype that it's more older people that do go for the Jazz, but there's good reason for it. Like I say, that ease of use, the excellent visibility out of the car. And most of the time it's an electric, so it's just so smooth, and that torque is there for you. Then it just transitions onto the petrol engine quite seamlessly, so it is nice to drive. And like I say, not really any wheel spin. It's very wet day today and I've not had any wheel spin at all, so it's good. It's got some good tyres on it, and even with that torque, it's still managing it really well. The lane assist isn't too strict on the vehicle either. It does occasionally wiggle the wheel a little bit, but it's not as bad as some other systems. For example, what you get in Chinese cars, they're quite strict now with the steering and lane assist. One thing that is a little annoying though is the traffic sign recognition. It does pick up roadsides from the side of the road. You do have drive mode select in this as well, so you've got economy, normal and sport. So off the line sport's going to feel a little bit nippier. Econ will feel a little bit more vague, but when you put your foot flat to the ground, every mode gives you the same power. So I generally leave it in economy mode. It's quite quiet as well. There is some other more maybe solid feeling small vehicles like the Polo, for example, which may be better if you're doing a lot of motorway driving, because sometimes a normal petrol vehicle is actually more efficient. So it's something to bear in mind. Definitely take one for a drive where you'd normally go and see what you get on your fuel. But if you do a lot of town driving, these are perfect cars because it does everything in comfort and great miles per gallon on the vehicle as well. These seats are the anti-fatigue seats as well. The bases are a little bit flat, but you have plenty of lumbar support. They're really quite supportive for your lower back. Unfortunately, you can't adjust it. So inside the Jazz Advanced Sport, it definitely feels like the top of the range model. You've got Alcantara on the seats, which is so lovely with the yellow peeking through. You've got the yellow stitching and then the grey synthetic leather at the sides, which matches this urban grey exterior. You've also got the same armrest in the leatherette with the yellow stitching again, that's lovely. And then you've got the grey dash and the yellow stitching all on the steering wheel as well, and alongside the door cards. So one of my criticisms on the other Jazzes is inside was a bit boring and a bit drab, but this yellow stitching just lifts this car quite a lot actually, as does the different coloured seats with the grey and the black. You've got the 9-inch Honda Connect screen in the middle here with wireless Apple CarPlay, wired Android Auto. It's a really responsive screen, it's one of the easiest to use. You can configure all the different things down here as well, what you want as your favourite. Just hold it and just drag it to where you want it to be, and then it's saved there. Done. Just like how you would on your phone, for example, or iPad. So that makes things very easy. When you pop it into reverse as well, the camera comes up. It's on all models now, which is a great feature. You've also got the different angles, which not everyone realises, including this above view angle. So it's like on cars with 360 cameras, they give you that. So that's really good. So that's the back of my bumper. So you can literally see exactly how far you are, and then that's your sensors. They also come up here on this 7-inch digital cluster as well. So that's really great. To be fair, the view out the back is very good anyway, so you know, a camera's not essential. Climate controls as well, all physical and all very easy to use. So you've got the normal knob there for your temperature, where you want the air to be, and then your fan speed itself, or to turn them off altogether. Heat seats on either side, and then the heat steering wheel on the steering wheel itself. That's all very easy, as is your gear shifter and your electronic parking brake as well. So it's all just very intuitive, chunky, good buttons, 7-inch digital dial, which is standard. So you've got your speed always there, it's super clear. It's not set off to the side like we see on other rivals, which can be really quite annoying. The hybrid battery gauge and your fuel gauge there. That constantly goes up and down as you drive the vehicle, so there's nothing to worry about. It just goes up and down. The hybrid battery charges in a few ways. It charges whenever the engine is running, such as now, and under braking or deceleration as well, the battery will be charging. You can go onto the vehicle and have a look at the power flow monitor here, which will tell you what's going on. So right now it's telling you the engine is feeding energy to the battery, and when you're driving it'll tell you if the wheels are being powered by the engine directly or by the batteries, or as most of the time it is hybrid, it's getting energy from both the engine and the batteries. So yeah, there's not a lot of need to really look at that because you can't actually control what the car's doing, so more of a distraction than anything. I normally leave it on the fuel one, and that does tell you live miles per gallon with that bar, so it'll go up to 140 when it's in EV mode when you're driving, etc. And then off your trip it'll do your averages. So you can see over the last 5,638 miles it's averaged just over 55 miles per gallon. Over the last 42 miles I've had it, it's averaged 53 miles per gallon. That's because I've done a mixture of faster driving in town. It is more efficient around town than it is on the faster roads. And the graphics are really modern. The graphics are modern on the screen as well. I find on the Toyota system, the graphics look quite old now. They're the same as what they've used for years on the Yaris, for example. So this looks much more modern. It is more expensive, the vehicle, that's for sure, but these hold their value very well. And in terms of quality, interior quality, it does definitely feel a cut above the Yaris and the related Mazda 2 hybrid. So that's something to bear in mind, but you will pay a premium for that nicer interior. All your controls, as I say, so easy. One thing that has changed, this used to be your lighting control for the dials, how bright they are. It's auto off your lights now. This is actually for your drive mode select now. So you've got normal, sport and economy mode, and then you've got your cup holder on each side. There is some cheaper materials, like the dash does feel quite cheap, but you don't touch that. You touch the leather section and the buttons. It just feels really quite good quality altogether. So yeah, it does feel a cut above a lot of the competition. Okay, now let's take a look at the boot space on the Jazz. Oh, you can see it's got plenty of space for all your Easter goodies. There will be a TikTok about this. Now, you can see this has got the optional mat in the back. I don't really like this. It's kind of a rigid plastic one, and they're quite expensive Honda accessories. There's something to bear in mind. Actual space-wise, you get 305 litres, which doesn't sound massive for this size of car, but for the hybrid class, it is very good. It's bigger than the 301 litres on the Renault Clio, and it's bigger than the 286 that you get on the Mazda 2 and the Toyota Yaris, so pretty decent. It's not quite as big as the Nissan Juke hybrid with 354 litres of boot space, but that is a bigger car. However, it can be had at a similar price to the Jazz. There is a little bit more space underneath here as well. So this is your boot mat, and then you've got a little bit more space down there, which is also really quite handy. You don't have an option for a spare wheel, it's just a tyre inflation kit. So your tyre inflation kit just lives there, the pot of glue, and then the 12-volt thing just there as well. So all quite good. So that's all nicely away there. Through the warranty, you do get 3 years roadside assistance though, which is excellent. And how about the back seat practicality and comfort in the Jazz? Well, you've got loads of room. That boxy shape helps with your headroom as well, which is excellent. And you have, of course, as I'm sure you've heard, the Honda Magic seats. There is something that is really disappointed though in the back of the Jazz Sport. You have the lovely Alcantara in the front of the vehicle, but you just have normal black cloth in the back of it. So you feel a bit let down, you feel a bit in the cheap seats, which is quite unfortunate. I mean, it can't have cost much for them to just put a bit more Alcantara in the back. But apart from lack of materials in the back, how is the space and comfort? Well, you've got a pocket on the back of both seats, which is great, and a little pocket here which you could put your mobile in, so that's great. You've also got 2 USB-C ports, so those have been upgraded from USBs to USB-C, so nice and modern, so they've kept up with the times. You don't have any climate coming through to the back, but in a lot of small cars you don't. Middle seat, let's see this. This is where it is let down a bit. This great practicality, the Magic seats, everything like that. The middle seat isn't the best. You'll see it's more of a perch really. The floor's relatively flat, but this is quite narrow and kind of firm. Same with the back, so it's not awful. I mean, this Sport middle seat is definitely more comfortable than the Advance that has the synthetic leather, or even the Cross style, which is harder because it has that water resistant fabric. It's more of a hard fabric, so the seats are more comfortable in general on this Sport model. It's not too bad, but I am higher up than each passenger, so it's more of a perch. So for shorter journeys, only really. Isofix points are exposed, really easy to access. They don't look the prettiest, but they are very practical, so that's fine. And you've also got side airbags, which isn't something you see in a lot of cars in the back, so that's great, another standard feature on the vehicle. Your middle seat belt does come out from the roof, there you go, but obviously that does block your view out the back ever so slightly. Does have Honda's Magic seats, which I'll show you now are fantastic and something that is a mega USP for the Jazz. And the Magic seats are across the Jazz range, flip up like so in the cinema style, which is a very unique feature to Honda's. There you go, clicks into place, and that is really useful. So you could have bikes across there, mobility aids, big appliances. It's just so versatile. It's good for plants as well. Now it's come to summertime, go to the garden centre, fill up with plants, put your dog in there, anything like that. It's so handy. And then you're able to just simply walk through the car like so. How great is that? Also, another benefit of the Magic seats is that they fold completely flat. You'll see a bit better on this side if I pull it down, that the bases go into the footwell like that, giving you a completely flat low bay so you can access the boot. So that boxy shape definitely helps in its favour when it comes to practicality. You've got this useful handle as well to easily shut the boot, and it's a pretty light tailgate as well. So then, what are my final thoughts on the Jazz Advanced Sport? Well, if you're looking for a practical city vehicle that does everything, it's efficient, it's practical, it's spacious inside yet compact on the outside, then the Jazz ticks all of those boxes. A few things do let it down, like some cheaper materials inside, the screen facing away from you, and the fact that you have to press the brake hold each time you start the vehicle. But those are all little things that you could definitely live with. The main one is the price of the Jazz. It is a lot more expensive than other vehicles in this segment, and that will put off a lot of buyers, but they do hold their value incredibly well, and they've got a great reputation for reliability too. So those all add to its appeal, and it may well be worth paying that extra to go for the Honda Jazz over its competitors. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure to hit subscribe down below, and I hope to see you in the next one.